Scooter was gone. Just gone. God damn it, Scooter. Vanished. Why? Stop fucking around. How? Come on up. A tightness swelled in his body. In his midsection. A tangible wave of energy coiled around his lungs, heart, and stomach. The pores covering every inch of Shane's body felt clogged. Unable to breathe. A tangible presence on the shore compelled Shane to glance back to the bank. On the edge of the water, Zach Grouse stood idly. He wore a black tee with Keith Richards' face superimposed over a grinning skull. Silver chains dangled from his baggy black jeans. Looking for someone? You. It was about 10 years ago when Shane first met Zach. Scooter's 6th birthday party. When their eyes met, a physical repulsion clutched Shane's insides. It felt as if his stomach and innards were humming with a tightness, a vibrating and painful quivering sensation. At the time, Shane had chalked up the unnerving feeling to indigestion from a greasy lunch and also a touch of instinct. Some people in this world simply radiated with dickitis, and at only 6 years old the kid stank of it. A nauseating scent of rotting meat oozed from his body and clothes, a scent only Shane seemed to notice. What the hell did you do to him, you goddamn deviant fuck? Scooter is mine now. The time for dick measuring is past. I'm running the carnival show now. Shane swung at the punk's face, but his fist never connected. Just swiped through Zach as if he'd punched an empty pillowcase. Only the slightest tickling of a gust. Zach hadn't flinched. Hadn't even blinked. The kid remained motionless, save his smug grin. Pearly white teeth filling the gap between dark lips. Step away from that fiend! Shane glimpsed from the corner of his eye Carmen and Atticus stepping from the woods. They came to a stop beside Shane, Carmen on his right, Atticus on his left. Over Zach's shoulders, Birch appeared from the trees behind the Rollins house, a puzzled look on his face. What's going on, man? Zach clapped once. Disquieting caws scattered like buckshot. Zach clapped again. Hissing insects hushed to a portentous silence. Stilled the rustling of the trees. But a single crow glided over the dark waters. Woeful cawing beckoned echoes of trepidation. You wear the blackest of black auras like a coat of filth. Never have I felt such foulness. Well, looky here. If it isn't the champions of stars themselves. Brothers deemed worthy by the cosmos, created to balance the multiverse and bring goodness to all the good little boys and girls. Zach shook his head and extended an arm toward the pond. Immediately, the lone crow flew over before perching on his outstretched limb. And yet, not impressive. A redneck drug addict and a pathetic kid with an overinflated ego to match his unjustified arrogance. Mock disappointment wrinkled Zach's face. Pouting lips and crestfallen brows. Nothing more sad have I ever laid eyes upon. Rejects from the latest King Arthur picture show. Nothing more. How dreadfully depressing. Can't say the intelligent designer doesn't have a sense of humor. He looked at Shane, then at Atticus. Yet, this is indeed interesting. Zack put a finger to his chin while the crow on his other arm considered them curiously with the tilting of its head. Strangely, I don't sense fear inside either of you. Now this impresses me. Your lack of fear is foolish, but I admit, impressive. It will aid you in your sad ambitions. Probably get you both killed. But how I've always enjoyed a challenge. Does the cat not prefer the cleverest mice over the rest? Shane ground out a sigh. He ran a grimy palm over his sweaty forehead and through his damp hair. The tip of his boots prodded into the soil. Amy crazy. Scooter dead. Giant spider robots. A sidelong glance at Atticus and his sword. A rogue knight of the Round Table, claiming to be his cosmic brother. And then a 17-year-old boy who Shane was more than certain than ever was not a boy. Not even human. And definitely not 17 years old. Shane was going after it. Whatever it was. Maybe Scooter wasn't dead. Just an illusion. Some supernatural hocus pocus. Scooter couldn't be dead. The kid wouldn't off himself. He was too smart for such stupidity. Zack was something unnatural. Evil. For once in his miserable life, Shane would not drag his friends down with him. Not this time. No more. This was all on him. Between him and the weirdo metalhead gothic punk. Whatever the fuck he was. Stay back. Turning to look at Carmen and Birch. But they didn't respond. Carmen's lips were partially opened, as if she'd just been about to speak. Birch stood at the steps of the Rollins house, hands slightly forward and one foot barely off the ground, frozen in mid-step. Both of them were wax figures, carelessly placed in the Sacred Oaks exhibit located in the fucked light zone of Buckeye, Texas. There is one thing the three of us have in common. The crow scooted up to Zack's shoulder, where it repositioned itself to face Atticus and Shane. A pair of devious humanoid eyes were set inside the bird's face. Tiny flames flickered inside the bird's pupils. Zack stepped to the side of Carmen. His neck twisted 90 degrees, an unnatural angle until he faced her. His hands sank through her shirt, as if the fabric was not even there. He groped Carmen's breasts, feeling her up right there in front of them. Zack lowered his head. A quivering forked tongue darted from his mouth. Enough of this shit. He body slammed Zack, this time making a surprisingly solid connection. Zack's body propelled several feet before dropping to the ground with a dull thud. Atticus and Shane stared at the motionless body, like watching the ending of a good horror movie where the camera zooms in on the bad guy lying motionless, A blinding light flashed, quickly dissipated. A thunderous crack echoed from all around them. Zach's body disintegrated, splattering into a million sparkly shards. The shards twirled in a tornado-like cone, hovering a few feet in the air. The mass spun faster and faster until the shards became a blur, blending into one another, shaping into the form of a human being, a teenage boy. Zach appeared before them, the crow again perched on his arm. His arms grew twice their normal length. Bending at the waist like some demented humanoid insect, he fell to all fours. Zach scuttled toward the Rollins house. What are you? Search your heart. You know what it is. If we are to live through this, we must face this wickedness with a clear understanding of what it truly is. Know the enemy. Yes. Stop reading my mind. Zach spidered past Birch's frozen stance. He crawled up the steps before resuming a normal upright stance, his arms shrinking to a normal length. We fight. Shane heard Atticus's thoughts as if growled aloud. Fight? To have a good offense, you first have to know your opponent. Shane learned that early in life. First with football, then in the desert on the other half of the planet. But knowing the Tigers and the Bearcats and the Al-Qaeda and the Taliban was to know a human opponent. A body that bled blood when shot at and broke bones when hit at. How do they fight an enemy that doesn't play by the same rules as they do? Fight a being that doesn't seem slowed by gravity or inertia? What are you? Oh, is it not obvious? What with all the diabolical mayhem, time freezing and all? I surely would have thought the forked tongue and my Reagan McNeil impressions would have been a dead giveaway. Do I have to wield a pitchfork and grow a pointy tail? Satan. We fight with caution and faith. Here we will stand alone. But together we will defend the world until the last drop of our blood is spilt. You still believe this is a battle between good and evil? Between God and the devil? It is quite befitting of your kind to reduce matters into such trite nothings. I've ruled this world since the beginning. Earth is my dominion. Always has been. So you see, I've already won. I have no need triumph any further. Atticus nodded. Your dominion is only over those who are disobedient. Because that's what the good book says? Satan lifted an arm toward them. He curled his pointer and index finger, gesturing the twins closer. Together, the twins took 3 steps. People wrote the Bible, not God. You are the great deceiver. Think about it. Why would anybody follow God's law if they thought all was lost? Control over the masses would be futile. That's why the smart people tweaked the story. You lie. God gave you dominion over the earth. You couldn't obey the pretentious big guy's rules. I took that dominion from you. Satan's eyes turned oval and black. Earth is my dominion. I fucking won. God would not abandon us. Fuck, Shane thought. Shit was about to go down. He had a bad feeling about where this was all going. A very, very bad feeling. You think you're all that, The creation of humans was the beginning of... Satan spread his arms wide. all life? Bullshit. You humans are nothing. A mere afterthought for the great I Am. You were created last, not first. The first race he created was called Aryans, powerful beings. God molded their bones from a cosmic bird called a seraphim. He gave them flesh composed of stardust, and gifted them blood from his own primordial essence of ethereal. And do you know what your people came to know these beings as? I'll tell you. Angels. Quite ironic your historians conjure silly notions of ancient aliens, because those aliens were Aryans. Guess who else was once an Aryan? Origin of the High Plane, defender of the ethereal kingdom, cherub of paradise, bearer of lights. That's right, yours truly, Lucifer.
Atticus shook his head.
I don't pretend to know if what you say is true. And I'm not sure I care. All I know beyond a doubt is that you are evil and God is not. This is a simple war of light versus darkness. This is a war about the Zodiacs and their power. Recreating the entire playing field. From the chessboard to the room the chest is in, and to the house the room is inside. I don't care about your Zodiacs. You should care. Zodiacs are being of greater strength and wisdom than any human could even fathom. Past, present, or in any future. Humans are nothing more than a meek curiosity. God with his ant farm. He gave a wave, a nod, and a subtle shake. Nothing like a good portion of morbid curiosity and a thick line of sadism to make the big guy grin. God watched his pets build and grow, only to wash away their efforts and their lives with a great flood. Under God's mighty magnifying glass, your great cities burned. He watched your people shrink from disease and shrivel from his almighty flames.
Zack turned his back toward the twins. He walked toward the right cabin, turned and faced the left. He paused before facing the back of the house. His visage faded and disappeared. Atticus looked to the right before turning toward the left cabin.
This isn't over.